Before we even talk about what Xenosaga is, we should go through a brief history of the series leading up to Xenosaga. Xenosaga is a spiritual successor to Xenogears and came before Xenoblade. It was published by Bandai Namco for the PlayStation 2 in the early 2000s after series director Tetsuya Takahashi had left Squaresoft, as it was known at the time due to being displeased with how the company focused too much on Final Fantasy, not allowing new projects to flourish, such as the 1998 RPG directed by Takahashi, Xenogears. As Square was not willing to take risks with new IPs, which led to Tetsuya Takahashi leaving the company and founded Monolith Soft in 1999 with the help of Masayuki Nakamura and the founder of Namco. While Monolith was owned by Namco, they had a bit more creative freedom, and Takahashi set out to create a new successor to his RPG, Xenosaga. Xenosaga is a sci-fi RPG with several deep themes and religious inspiration, mainly taking inspiration from Gnosticism, Christianity, and Judaism. Xenosaga I released in 2002 in Japan and 2003 in the United States, selling 2,400,000 copies in just its first 3 days. And according to Namco, it was a commercial success. Xenosaga's one story just follows character introduction, setting up the setting, and introducing us to some character terminology that we would later get to know. And also introducing us to our main antagonists, such as Utic, Ormus, and Gnosis. The game starts off following the point of view of Shion, Cosmos, Alan, as they survive the Waglinde disaster at the beginning of the game. The game later then cuts to a cyborg named Cigarette 8 rescuing a 100 series Realin named Momo. Momo is under the custody of a shadow organization known as Utic. As Cigarette 8 rescues Momo, she gives him the name Ziggy. And as the games progress, they start to form a strong and stronger bond of father and daughter. The game also cuts to the point of view of Rubido, also known as Junior or Little Master, by those he works with. His ship is attacked by the organization Utic as well, as he is responding to a call from the Waglinde. As he boards the ship, searching for signs of a Zohar emulator, the three parties do cross paths, and they all find out that they are headed to Second Miltia. So they decide to stick together for a while on the Elsa until they all reach Second Miltia. The ship known as the Elsa, the party comes across a crew member named Chaos, who's mysterious, and it is found out that he can just destroy Gnosis by touching them. All this on their journey to Second Miltia leads to Albedo, aka Rubido or Junior's brother, kidnapping Momo, which leads the party into the Song of Nephilim in order to rescue her. As Momo is rescued, Song of Nephilim, Albedo summons Proto Merkaba in an attempt to destroy Second Miltia by crashing it into the planet. The party does succeed in stopping it by breaking it into pieces in the atmosphere, but this isn't without a cause, as the shield of the Elsa begins to disintegrate. This all leads to Cosmos using her mysterious power, in which her eyes turn blue, in order to save the Elsa. Shion at first thinks Cosmos is dead, but as they land on the planet, she finds out that Cosmos is alive. Okay, so this is post-editing me. I totally forgot one plot detail. Actually, Cosmos is the one that's there during the explosion of the Merkaba, and she, runs back to Shion on Gang, and then they land on the planet, and, all that stuff. I'm sorry, I haven't played the game in a while. I have to refresh myself on the lore. Anyways, back to the video. Xenosaga I kicks off the series by borrowing some elements from its predecessor, Xenogears. It borrows elements such as the AP system and the death blow system. This time, however, you don't learn death blows. This time, death blows are called tech attacks, which is your main source of damage throughout the game. Xenosaga also incorporates the use of mechs, pronounced as eggs, and it also introduces its boost mechanic, granting you one extra turn, allowing for you to possibly combo the enemy. Xenosaga also introduces a roulette system, giving you a variety of effects, such as extra boost gauge gain, or extra AP, or extra XP points. It all depends on what it lands on your turn is, which adds a little bit of strategy depending on, do I want to do extra damage or do I want to gain some extra boost for my characters. The soundtrack itself was composed by the same man who composed the Xenogears OST, Yasunori Mitsuda, with him saying every song is written with a specific scenario in mind. There is something different than Xenogears. I also suspect that the Xenosaga OST won't be received very well. While the OST was performed by the London Philharmonic Orchestra, the cutscene music did a very good job of setting the mood, being reminiscent of epic moments in a space opera, such as Star Wars. While the gameplay music is quite lacking, I don't really find anything too memorable from that. I do remember a lot of the cutscene tracks. Xenosaga 1 is also plagued by a really weird bunch of game design issues. Just mainly with how the boss fights work. The boss fights just feel completely unfair and total shit, and they are just a complete turn-off for a lot of newer Xeno fans who are coming from Xenoblade expecting a more balanced and fair game, or people who just started at Xenogears and now they're facing this really unfair fight. I've had a lot of friends, and by a lot of friends I mean 3 people, start Xenosaga and they just hit these walls, especially near the end of the game with some of the bosses. I know I had a lot of trouble with a lot of the bosses near the end, and if you're playing on an emulator, I just recommend using cheats. There's no shame in that if you're just going through the story, okay? Because a lot of the bosses are just complete total bullshit. I'm looking at you, boss from the Kukai Foundation. I had beef with you. I had to turn on cheats to beat you because the game is too... Anyways, Xenosaga 1 is my least favorite game in the series, to say the least. If I ever do find myself doing a replay of the trilogy, I just skip over 1, I just watch the cutscenes. It's just, I'm not very fond of the gameplay loop. The grinding is very slow and you can just hit a roadblock. So overall, it's the weakest of the games in my opinion, even though the story is really great. Ah yes, Xenosaga II, the best game in the franchise, known as the hit 2004 game with that awesome soundtrack and that beautiful realistic art style that no one ever did trash on, because it's just peak. Okay. Jokes aside, the game is a very mixed bag to say the least. Takahashi had stepped down as his role of director just because he believed that the younger members should have some experience working on this game. This led to a lot of decisions, such as a change in art style, but the combat mainly remains the same, with the boost and the roulette returning to the game, but a new system known as stock. This is a very big detriment to the game, but I will talk about this later. The party now has unique roles, with members like Jin and Cosmos being able to do launch combos, Ziggy can do a smash combo, and Momo and Shion only have one attack button, which really only serves as nuke damage when an enemy is launched or smashed. Junior can launch or smash, but he can serve as a catalyst to these combos, or he can just serve as extra damage. So really, he's a jack of all trades, master of none type of character. Encephalon dives also make their return to the series, allowing you to visit past areas. Now grinding is more streamlined and skill trees do make their return, though they are pretty samey, removing any sort of character individuality that you had in the first game. Shops also do not make their return in this game, this being the only game in the series to not have shops or money. Max however do make their return. However, the egg system is ditched in favor for the ESs for lore and gameplay reasons. The ESs do have their own separate leveling system, so don't get your hopes up and grind up in an ES dungeon so you can get your character levels up. That's not how it works, sadly. At first, the combat does feel fun. It feels like a breath of fresh air from Xenosaga 1. But good god, the halfway mark of Disc 2, you're just sick of the combat and you're just like, oh my god, I just want this to end, I just want this to end. It's like the enemies, they're just these health sponges, and regular encounters take way too long. The game can take up to like 3 minutes to maybe 6 or 7, and boss fights can just take up to 7, and it's just stalking and healing. A notable example of this was the Margulis fight being a quite difficult fight. Enemies in this game also have weak points, and they really love to hit hard. Especially near the end of the game, you're gonna be going down in 1 or 2 hits. So make sure to abuse save states if you are playing on an emulator, or just abuse the boosts, or just suck it up if you're playing the game. This forces you to switch to a healer character such as Jin, who's mainly damage dealer, or Xion or Momo, who can just spam their healing more as they have more EP or ether points. Combos do make a return this time being crucial for breaks, but this time you have high, low, and medium points, which are crucial to break an enemy, and you have to figure out what points they are in order to break this system. This system is what later would be used for the break, topple, launch, and smash system in Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3. For this game, the music was composed by two people and a possible third person, that being Yuki Kajiura, who is notable for her works on anime such as Sword Art Online, and Shinji Hosoe, who is more known for composing for Namco arcade tracks. The two, during the point of the game's development, had never met up, which led to the music having two different styles, with Kajiura being tasked with the cutscenes and Hosoe with the gameplay tracks. Yuki Kajiura's tracks set to capture the space opera vibe, which they did very well, setting the mood for scenes very well, such as both of the Jin and Margulis fights, or Fatal Fight playing at the climax of the first Jin and Margulis fight, or the music when you encounter the final boss, or when Cosmo saves Xion at the start of Disc 2. Then you have Shinji Hosoe's tracks, which don't really fit the game. They have this really weird arcade feel, and yes, they are good tracks. I listen to them all the time. I'm listening to this right now as I am making this video. The point is that they really don't fit the tone of the game sometimes, such as tracks like Second Miltia, which the planet just came out from a disaster and it just feels jolly, which is a point iterated by somebody else during a Xenosaga review on this site. However, there are other places that do fit the mood, such as the music that plays during the first dungeon on First Miltia. Yuki's part of the music was the only part that was ever released commercially, and she went on to compose both tracks for the third games, with Hosoe's tracks only being able to be found on YouTube or other sites, as they are not being sold commercially. The game takes place right after the event of the first game, but instead of joining the party as they land on First Miltia, we're taken to a flashback 14 years ago to the events of First Miltia, as we're introduced to a Realian named Kanan, and we are also greeted by Chaos. This is a point that some YouTubers like Luxin consider to be the highlight of the game, as the visuals when Chaos and Kanan are about to go into First Miltia, the scenery is very beautiful, especially for a PS2 game, and this is a point I'm about to reiterate soon. Additionally, this scene also did serve for a joke in the third game. But back to the story. Chaos and Kanan are deployed after finding out that the Song of Nephilim is driving Realians insane, in which they are sent to investigate that. During that investigation, they are met by Xion's older brother, Jin Uzuki, who saves them. He also has stolen data regarding the Song of Nephilim. Afterwards, they are ambushed by Margulis, leading to one of the most visually stunning fights I've seen, especially for a PS2 game. After the flashback ends, we meet our party arriving on Second Miltia, and they all part ways for now, doing their missions from the first game. So Xion, Alan, and Cosmos are greeted by some Vector employees, and Xion is forced to hand Cosmos over reluctantly. Meanwhile, Ziggy, Momo, Chaos, and Junior are heading over to do their thing, but they are ambushed by two mysterious Uchik mechs, leading to an arguably really weird and funny chase scene, as somebody else has already said that, but I just wanted to say it again, because everybody drives like this is a normal day occurrence, like, oh, it's a Texas highway or something. While Momo is being investigated, Albedo reappears, revealing that he had planted a virus in Momo, causing Momo to fragment her memory in order to protect the Y data. This has caused the party to enter her subconscious during this segment. We learn more on Rubido, Gaignon, Albedo, and Sakura, the girl who Momo was based on, along with another URTV who is more just vital for the third game, so we can just skip over her as this is a video on Xenosaga II, not Xenosaga 3. We learn an incident where Rubido broke the link, resulting in the deaths of all the other URTVs except him and his two brothers Albedo and Gaignon. However, Albedo was the only one who was touched by Udu, which drove him insane. We cut forward back to the present as the party saves Momo, However, Albedo appears again, confronting Junior. This leads Albedo to reveal that they have fallen for his trap, and Albedo now heads to Jin. This marks the end of Disc 1. Disc 2 joins up again, with the party now heading towards Milsha, now joined together by Jin and Kanan. However, Kanan is more a guest in the party and you cannot play as him. However, you can place him during a small segment in the tutorial of Xenosaga 1. This is the point in the game when you can finally unlock the ESs and you can take him out for a test run. The ESs are much more fun than the regular combat. As the party arrives on Milsha, they have a skirmish with Margulis. And after this skirmish, they find the Zohar, along with 2 comatose Realans, in which Xion at first hesitates to let Cosmos kill them, but after a little bit of confronting, she reluctantly lets Cosmos kill them. This scene was supposed to be emotional, but as the player hasn't played Xenosaga 3, assuming they're not doing a replay or anything, they really wouldn't know, as this was just a point that only the directors knew of at the time, so we really didn't know what was supposed to be emotional about this. This is also just one of the worst scenes in the game overall. I'll just let the scene speak for itself.
Xion! What is that? It's horrible. It's horrible. I can't stand this. I'm sick of all this. I can't take it anymore. I just can't.
The Zohar is then claimed by Pope Sergius on behalf of Ormus and installs it into his mech, Proto-Omega, with the aim of wiping out all the Gnosis in order to find Lost Jerusalem. As their group is doing their assault on Proto-Omega, Gainom, who killed Dmitry Yuriev during his childhood, is possessed by the spirit of Dmitry Yuriev, leading Dmitry Yuriev to make his return. Back to the party, Albedo appears again to help them. Albedo is supposedly killed in this battle with Sergius, and Sergius is killed by a group of mysterious people known as the Testaments, leading to a really great moment with Ziggy. The Testaments then go on to resurrect Albedo, and causing Albedo to release Udu energy, which forces Junior to confront him and kill him, leading to one of my personal favorite cutscenes in not only Xenosaga, but the entire Xeno series. Before the party can go retrieve the Zohar after all this, a mysterious ship known as Abel's Ark appears, taking the Zohar for itself. The game then cuts to Wilhelm, the mysterious guy we've been seeing all throughout the first 2 games, and of course the 3rd game as well, communicating telepathically to Chaos, calling him Yeshua. No, not as in Jesus Yeshua, even though that is his name in Hebrew. It's just a really weird name-sharing instance, I don't know. We later then cut to Wilhelm in a meeting with the Testaments, welcoming their new testament, the White Testament. Overall, I don't know why I like this game as much as I do. It's a hot mess, but overall, yeah, the Xeno series is my favorite series of all time, besides Monster Hunter and Zelda, of course. Yes, this game isn't the best, but in my honest opinion, it is a huge step up from the first game. The devs made some creative decisions, which did bring the game down a little, but that still doesn't stop me, as the devs would later use this to fix up their mistakes from Xenosaga 2, and they used it to perfect Xenosaga 3. The story does deviate from the original 6-game plot that Tsurai Saga had originally envisioned at the start of Xenosaga 1's development. Yes, the game does have an off-putting art style. Yes, it's very ugly. Just look at Xion, for example, or Cosmos. Yes, the battles are terrible. They're long, they're drawn out. The music choices are really questionable for gameplay, even if the music is good. The game is just hard-carried by its story, and even though this game isn't the best, I still love Xenosaga II dearly. I appreciate its flaws and find it to be the black sheep of the franchise. I know this game isn't gonna make everyone feel the way I did, the way I came to love this game, and all its flaws. But even then, I still love this trilogy and the wider series in general. And I would love to see a remake of these older games, just to give them the love that they deserve. Now, one last thing, before I sign off, and I know everybody does this, but If you really like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe if you really want to. It would really mean a lot, and it would tell me that you guys want to see more content about me gushing about games like this. I know video essays are pretty oversaturated, but that's all you have to do. I'm just a small channel just making these things for fun. So yeah, that's all. Bye!